Wanderlei Silva, also known as the Ex-Murderer, is one of the most fearsome fighters in the history of MMA.
Trying to chop his leg.
His aggressive style, devastating punches, and brutal knockouts have made him a legend in the sport. You know why Silva has the nickname the scariest knockout machine in MMA? Let's dive into the career of this legendary fighter and explore his most brutal knockout.
And Wanderlei countering, going.
When you go up against Wanderlei Silva, you're not just going up against a man. You have a face-to-face encounter with a legendary figure. He is a wrecking machine, a block of pure muscle and anger. And Silva is one of them. Whether it was in a Brazilian nightclub, the illustrious Pride Ring, or the revered UFC octagon, he has spent the better part of the last 15 years knocking out the hardest men in the world and removing them from consciousness. To tell you the truth, the location does not seem to matter. It doesn't matter if it's on the subway, at your mother's 50th birthday party, or in the middle of a matinee showing of Rock of Ages. Wanderlei Silva is willing to fight you wherever, whenever, in front of whomever.
And that is it. That's the end of it right there.
To tell you the truth, the location does not seem to matter. Brazilian-American Wanderlei Cesar da Silva, Japanese, born 3 July 1976, is a former mixed martial artist who competed in the American Ultimate Fighting Championship and Japan's Pride Fighting Championship UFC. In Pride history, he holds the record for the most victory, knockouts, championship defenses, and winning streaks.
Win in October of 04.
He won the 2003 Pride Middleweight Grand Prix tournament as well as the Old Pride Middleweight Championship. He most recently competed in the heavyweight and light heavyweight classes for Bellator MMA. The following are 8 reasons why he has reached the exalted level of legend. Number 8. Silva versus Chuck Liddell.
Trying to chop his leg.
The two competitors entered the ring knowing they had nothing to prove. Both were considered to be living legends in the sport that they had been instrumental in developing over 2 continents.
For the head kick.
Both men's legacies were going to be secure no matter what the conclusion was.
Here inside the Mandalay Bay.
However, from the perspective of the combatants, they had everything to prove, despite the fact that both battles were well past their peak.
Wanderlei.
The participants were motivated solely by the need to secure their position in the historical pecking order. Chuck Liddell had the title of longtime UFC champion, while Wanderlei Silva was the 205-pound flag bearer for Pride Fighting Championships. Who was going to prevail? It was a fight that had been going on for years, fought primarily on message boards and in interviews. When they battled against one another, it lived up to every expectation the fans had held for it. And despite the fact that Silva was victorious, he demonstrated once again that he is a risky individual. Number 7. Wanderlei Silva versus Quinton Jackson.
This is dangerous.
Even during the stare-down in the middle of the ring, neither man was willing to budge an inch. But in the end, Silva proved to be too much for Jackson to handle. There are those men who blossom in the face of adversity. Instead, Silva anticipated that Jackson would give up. When he dialed up the pressure, it was too much for the well-known citizen of the United States. One of the most memorable images in the history of mixed martial arts is that a rampage being knocked unconscious, with just the ropes holding up his lifeless corpse.
Distance now, push yourself away, create distance.
After a while, Silva was more than just a boxer. To his legion of devoted followers in Japan, he was a potent force. Number 6. Wanderlei Silva versus Mirko Crocod.
Wanderlei Silva, let's take a look one more time.
Fighting this guy doesn't give me any trouble in any way. I enjoy going up against the tougher men, Wanderlei Silva said. It was a different story when it came to taking on Kazushi Sakuraba. Although he was skilled and tough, he was still a natural welterweight, even though he was competing in the light heavyweight division. Being Goliath requires little in the way of guts. However, Wanderlei Silva wasn't beyond playing the role of David every once in a while, too. In this clip, he faces off against the heavyweight kickboxing star Mirko Crocod without batting an eye, although the fight ended in a draw.
Wanderlei trying to finish here.
Silva showed the Pride fans that he was an unafraid competitor. Number 5. Wanderlei Silva versus Kazushi Sakuraba. Another day and another well-known wrestler that Silva has eliminated from the competition. Kazushi Sakuraba has recently etched his name into the mixed martial arts by claiming victories against the member of the illustrious Gracie family. One guess if Silva gives a damn. He took it to Sakuraba like no one had ever done before, knocking him out cold in slightly more than a minute and a half. Suddenly, not only was the Brazilian contender one of the top slots in his weight class in pride, but also for the honor of being the finest fighter in the sport overall.
Sakuraba's got to tuck and roll. He's got a full guard.
Number 4, Wanderlei Silva versus Guy Messger. In contrast to the myths surrounding Silva, he did not immediately become a star in Japan's Pride promotion. Both of his early bouts were decided by unanimous decisions, and he didn't exactly stand out among the top fighters in the world at the time. The battle he had with Guy Messger brought about this shift. Messger was a veteran and a well-known commodity. After Silva knocked him out cold, he was immediately on his way to becoming a well-known figure in Japan. Number 3, Wanderlei Silva versus Mike Van Arsdale. Mike Van Arsdale's name would have been towards the top of the list if you had asked anyone in 1998 about what was going to be the next big thing in mixed martial arts. It was the heyday of the wrestler in those days. Mark Coleman and Mark Kerr were running the show, and Van Arsdale belonged to the same grappling class as them. Someone forgot to tell Wanderlei Silva to care. This victory over the wrestling superstar established the shoot-box striker as a household figure in mixed martial arts on a global scale and through the interest of the higher-ups at the UFC. A little less than 2 months later, he would make his first appearance inside the octagon. Number 2, Wanderlei Silva versus Arturo Mariano. 1997 was a transformative year for mixed martial arts. The transition from spectacle to sport had not yet taken place. It didn't matter if the blows landed with bare knuckles, headbutts, or kicks. They were all effective, and Wanderlei Silva was right in his element. Not having a dominant performance is not what is exciting about this situation. Spoiler alert, he loses. However, the defeat reveals all that there is to know about Wanderlei. Silva continues to fight despite receiving a significant cut from headbutting Mariano when they are clinched together. More than that, Silva actually keeps headbutting his opponent despite the big gash that he already has. This is one terrifying-looking guy. Number 1, Wanderlei Silva versus Sean Bourmet. In Brazil's MMA scene, there are a lot of promising young fighters. It's still accurate now. In 1997, when Wanderlei Silva was at the height of his career, this was absolutely true. To distinguish oneself from the crowd requires a unique quality. Defeating a well-known figure head-to-head is one possibility. It would be almost effective to brush off the challenges presented by the NCAA All-American. Silva put himself on the map by earning a victory over Sean Bourmet in the first round of an 8-man tournament. Bourmet was a 2-time All-American wrestler in Michigan. What do you think of this video? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.